Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the class. As you all know, the first book, which is Contemporary World Politics, has been completed, and today we will start our second book. And this book, the title of this book is This is the title Politics in India Since Independence. So, the whole book deals with the internal politics of India, the national politics of India after it got independence. So, in this context, our first chapter is Challenges of Nation Building. And today we will start this first chapter. Okay, so we all know that India got independence at midnight of 14th and 15th August 1947. And this was a moment, this was a time for which Indians has been waiting for so long. And people struggled against the British rule for almost 200 years, and after this struggle of 200 years, India became an independent country. And before this independent country, before this uh, new country, all the people who were involved in the national movement uh, were having consensus regarding two goals. All the leaders of our country were having similar views regarding the goals of the country. These are two goals for which all the leaders, all the people have consensus. That is, we wanted to have a democratic government. After getting independence, it was our goal to set up a democratic government in the country. And the second goal was that the will run, government will work for the welfare of all the people in the country, and in this regard the special attention will be given to the poor and socially disadvantaged groups. And who are these socially disadvantaged groups? Socially disadvantaged groups are Dalits and scheduled tribes. Okay, so our aim was to establish a democratic government and a welfare state, which will focus on the development of the poor and socially disadvantaged groups. Okay, so now when on the midnight of 14th and 15th August 1947, India became independent. Now the time has come when these goals now the time has come when these goals has to be achieved. अब हमें इन goals को achieve करने का time आ गया था. And our first Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru, addressed a special session of the Constituent Assembly that night only. At 12 o'clock, he addressed the Constituent Assembly. It was a special session of Constituent Assembly, and he delivered a beautiful speech, a very inspiring speech for all the people of the country. And this famous speech is known as Trust with Destiny. This is you can see this is traced with destiny. Okay, so this is very much important, and you must remember this the name of this speech. And in this speech Pandit Nehru described how about described about the struggle which we had for independence. And now as we got independence, now it's time to fulfill our dreams. It's time to fulfill our goals. So, the long waiting for getting independence was over, and now we are meeting with our destiny. And now the destiny is in the hands of the people of India. This was the main essence of the speech of Pandit Nehru. So the goals which was in front of independent India to establish a democratic government and a welfare government was not easy to achieve these goals, because the circumstances, the situation in which India was born, that situation was very difficult situation. And we can say that perhaps no other country by then was born in a situation more difficult than that of India in 1947. So when India became independent, at that time the situation was so bad that no other country by that time was born in such a situation. So when this type of the adverse situation, when adverse situation was prevailing at the time of birth, it will certainly cause problems in achieving the goals. So that happened with India. The goals which were set by our national leaders were not easy to achieve because of the circumstances. And what was the circumstances? The main problem was we got independence. That was a matter of celebration. But that independence came with partition of the country. So, on the one hand, we were happy because we became independent, and on the other hand, we were sad because the country was partitioned. So, what problem arose with the partition? The problem which arose with the partition was violence. Why this violence? Because there started a displacement of population in India. The people who were Muslim started to move to Pakistan, and in Pakistan, the Hindu people started to move to India. And in this way, displacement of population was taking place, and this displacement uh, caused uh, violence at large scale. And this was the most unplanned displacement of the people. Uh, so this was the situation in which India started its journey to achieve the objective of democratic government and the objective of welfare government. So still, we can say that the problems were too much. The situation was highly out of control. Still, our leaders were so courageous that they never thought of that they will not be able to fulfill the goals. They were still full of spirit and valor, and they tried to establish the democratic government as well as the welfare state. So you can see this is the picture when Pandit Nehru is speaking from the Red Fort on 15th August 1947. And you can see the crowd. This is the crowd. Now, end of 200-year-old British rule in India. So India became independent, and it came in the published in the newspaper. So when India became independent, at that time India was facing broadly three kinds of challenges. The most important challenge was to shape India as a nation, as a united nation, because India is a country of diversity. India is a country which has which is very large in size. Not only the area of the country is large, population was also very large, and diversity was also existing at a very large scale. People belonging to different language, people were speaking different language, people belonging to different culture and religion were living in the country. So it was many people were of the opinion that India can never be united as a single country. In this situation, the diversity which was existing in the country and the situation which was existing in the country, partition of the country, and the partition which led to the large scale of violence, all these factors, two factors, one diversity and the other is was partition, which led to violence. Because of these two factors, there were many who were of the opinion that India will not be able to be united as a single country. So there were serious questions about the future of India. वुड इंडिया सर्वाइव एज अ यूनिफाइड कंट्री? क्या इंडिया एक सिंगल कंट्री के फॉर्म में सर्वाइव कर पाएगा? would it be would it do so by emphasizing national unity at the cost of every other objective? So in order to uh, make India a unified country, India may have to adopt those methods. India uh, mm, may have to adopt those methods which are undemocratic in order to make all the territories of India, in order to uh, organize all the territories of India as a single unit. The Indian government may have to do some undemocratic type of work. Then only it will be possible for the government to unify India. So the regional and subnational identities will be crushed. These were the questions in the mind of the people. If India, if the goal of the leaders of India was to make India a unified country, and then in order to make India a unified country, what will happen? That was the fear of the people that all the regional and subnational identities will be crushed. There will be no scope for the recognition and promotion of regional and subnational identities. So, this was the biggest challenge in front of India to make India a unified country. Okay. Now, second challenge was also there, and that was the establishment of democracy. Uh, in your class 11th syllabus, there was a book you must have remembered, that is Indian Constitution at Work. And you have read how our constitution guarantees fundamental rights to the people, and how universal adult franchise has been adopted by India. Then India has adopted representative democracy, which is based on the parliamentary form of government. So, because of these arrangement by the constitution, um, India, uh, the formation of the government in India can be done only through elections. So, elections became one of the most important basis for the establishment of democratic government, because we cannot think of representative democracy in the absence of election. And now, to conduct election in a country like India, which is such a large country, such a large population is there, and uh, rate of illiteracy was also very high at that time, and so it was another biggest challenge in front of India. Though Constitution has made provisions for the establishment of a democratic government, but the constitutional provisions are not sufficient. If we are knowing there are so many countries which in there are so many countries in which the constitution has made provision for the democratic government, but in actual practice democracy cannot be established in those countries. But in India, we find that that is why our leaders were it was a challenge for our leaders to establish a democratic government in real life. So it was the second challenge. Okay, how to develop democratic practices. The infrastructure has been created by the constitution, but the infrastructure does not work. What work? The practices of the people, the practices which is adopted by the people. So it was the challenge before the leaders of the country to develop democratic practices according to the provisions of the constitution. Now we will come to the third challenge, and this third challenge was the challenge of development and well-being of the entire society. Development was a challenge, but what was important, development should happen in such a manner that it should benefit not only some section of the society, but it should benefit all the sections of the society equally. Okay, so in our constitution there is provision for equality, and our constitution also gives special protection to socially disadvantaged groups and religious and cultural communities also. These are the provisions which are made by the constitution in order to give uh, protection to socially disadvantaged group like SCs and STs, then the religious minorities group, the cultural minorities group, because there should not be any kind of exploitation in the society. There should not be any kind of unequal treatment in the society. So, for this purpose, our constitution has made provisions. Our constitution has also adopted directive principles of state policy, and the aim of these directive principles of state policy is to provide guidelines to the government so that it can achieve the goal of welfare state. Okay, so economic development was the aim of the country, and it was a challenge because development was to be done in such a manner that all the sections should be equally uh, benefited. There should be eradication of poverty. There should be the gap between the rich and the poor should be narrowed down. All these are were challenges in front of the independent India. Okay, so the now we will see how this new India responded to these challenges. What was the response of India? How our leaders, how our people responded to these challenges. Okay, and this the whole book is deals with this only, that our whatever practices are adopted, whatever practices have been developed in the country, are those practices succeeded in achieving the various objectives which were set out in the constitution. So the whole book is about this only, and the first three chapters deals with these three challenges. The first challenge of nation building, the second challenge of establishment of democratic government, and the third challenge is of development. So the first three chapters deals with all these three challenges, and then whatever national politics, different issues of national politics is discussed in other parts of the book, in other chapters of the book. So this is our first chapter, and we will discuss the first challenge of the challenge of nation building in this chapter. Okay, first of all, the situation in which India got independence, that situation will be dealt, and then we will see why the issue of national unity and security became a primary challenge at the time of independence. Okay, and then we see how India chose to shape itself into a nation, how India became a united country. Though there was diversity, though there was because of on the basis of religion the country was partitioned and there was large scale of violence, still India became successful in unifying all the parts of the country as a single unit. Why this happened because we have shared history and common destiny. We have common past, we have common goals in front of us, we have common aspirations for the future, and these are the things which are the binding factors of these are the things, these are the factors which are binding the people of the diverse people of India. Okay, so India became a unified country not by crushing the regional aspirations or regional identities or subnational identities. India became a unified country also, and it also maintained. um it also allowed people to maintain their religious, their subnational identity and regional identity. So, this is very much important that India was not crossing the regional and subnational identities. In this picture, you can see that these are the picture of three stamps, and these three stamps were issued in 1950 to mark the first Republic Day on 26 January 1950. Okay, it was our first Republic Day when the Constitution was implemented. What do the image on these stamps tell you about the challenges to the new republic? The challenges to the new republic is being shown in this in these pictures. This is about the economy. We should rely on handicraft. This is the charkha, which was used by Gandhi, and he always promoted khadi, so that India should become self-reliant. And this is the picture which is showing the um, farmers of the country. Okay, and in this picture, people are celebrating the Republic Day. Now, uh, we can see at the time of partition, because of displacement of people, uh, mm, and because of displacement of people, violence broke out at a large scale, and this situation gave gave such a एक ऐसा इस सिचुएशन ने उन लोगों के लिए जो कि बहुत क्रिएटिव होते हैं, द पीपल हु आर वेरी क्रिएटिव लाइक पोएट्स एंड painters, artists, all these people who are very emotional people, the situation was such that these emotional people started their creativity was very high at this time, and in this connection we can see this poem which was written by Faiz Ahmed Faiz. He was born in Sialkot and stayed in Pakistan after partition. He chose Pakistan as his country. He was a leftist in his political leanings and he opposed the Pakistani regime and was imprisoned also. Okay, so he was not that whatever Pakistan was doing, he was favoring that. But he was a true nationalist, and his collection of his poetry include Naqs e Faryadi, Dast e Saba, Zinda Nama, regarded as one of the greatest poets of South Asia in the 20th century. So here is one of his poem, The Dawn of Freedom. This is about how the freedom, the celebration of freedom was completely, it was, there was no celebration of freedom because of partition. You can just see the line, this scared, marred brightness. Brightness to थी. Brightness was freedom. Because of freedom, there was brightness, but that brightness was scarred. उस पे कई तरह के निशान लगे हुए थे. जैसे कि जब dawn होता है, the morning, the time before the sunrise, जब light तो आ जाती है but sun नहीं आता है, that time is called as dawn. And this dawn is indicating independence, freedom. तो dawn तो है, सवेरा हो गया, but this dawn is bitten by night. Why it is bitten by night? Because of violence which caused because of partition. The partition which caused violence, it is denoted by this bitten by night. In this way, all the lines are depicting that type of feeling, that how freedom and partition, both these things came together and it caused so many problems to the people. The one that was awaited surely, this is not that dawn. We were waiting for the dawn. We were waiting for the independence for so long. But this independence which we got, it is not that independence, because with this independence we also got partitioned. Okay. Uh, The final destination of stars in the wilderness of the sky, somewhere at least, must be a shore for the languid waves of the night. Somewhere at least must anchor the sad boat of the heart. So this is all about the situation that on the one hand there was a reason to be happy, but this happiness was not complete because there was the sadness of partition and violence. Now, these are the views of Muhammad Ali Jinnah, and it was expressed on 11th August 1947 when he was giving presidential address to the Constituent Assembly of Pakistan. Okay, now he is saying we should begin to work in that spirit, and in course of time, all these angularities of the majority and minority communities, the Hindu community and the Muslim community, because even as regards Muslim, you have Pathans, Punjabis, Siyas, Sunnis, and so on. And among the Hindus, you have Brahmins, Vaishnavas, Khatris, also Bengalis, Madrasis, and so on, will vanish. So, what is the opinion of Muhammad Ali Jinnah, that there should not be any kind of mm, disparity in the society. Now, in the free Pakistan, you are free. You can go to temple if you are if you want to go to temple. You can go to mosque if you want to go to mosque. No one can stop you to go to any place. So because you are in a free Pakistan. Okay, you are free to you are free to belong to any religion or caste or creed. The state has nothing to do with all these things. But actually, the Constitution of Pakistan adopted Pakistan. The Constitution of Pakistan made Pakistan a religious country, and in this religious country, all these freedoms are not there. That is the reality. This is the reality. Now we can see Amrita Pritam. She has also written so many poems, and she was a prominent Punjabi poet and fiction writer. She has received Sahitya Academy Award, Padma Shri, Jnanpith Award. Okay, and after partition, she made Delhi her second home. She originally belonged to Punjab. She was active in writing and editing Nagmani, a Punjabi monthly magazine, till her last. And in this, she has written the condition. What condition was prevailing after the partition of the uh, partition of India and Pakistan? You can read this. Warisa. This Warisa is the uh, author of Heer Ranjha, who belong to Punjab only. So you can see what he is saying. Once the daughter of Punjab cried, and you wrote a wailing saja for that Heer. Okay, now today a million daughters cry to you, Warissa. Rise, O narrator of the grieving, rise, look at your Punjab. The condition of Punjab is being described by the poet. Today, fields are lined with crops, and blood fills the chenab. Someone has mixed poison in the five rivers flow. Matlab, there was so much violence that the color of the river has changed. The fields are lined with the dead bodies of the people. So all the five rivers, Jhelum, Chenab, Satluj, Ravi, Vyas, all the five rivers have been poisoned because of the dead bodies. And that water is irrigating the land. So this fertile land is sprouting venom from every pore. So there is venom is producing from all parts of the field. This is depicting the hatred that was there in the heart and mind of the people. They were filled with the feeling of hatred. They wanted to kill each other. This is depicted by this poem. The sky is turning red from endless cries of gore. The toxic forest wind screams from inside its wake, turning each flute's bamboo shoot into a deadly snake. So everything is um, the form of everything has changed. Nothing is like कुछ भी वैसा नहीं है जैसा कि बिफोर पार्टीशन हुआ करता था. न तो हमारे खेत वैसे हैं, न हमारी नदियां वैसी हैं, और न ही जो खेतों से उपज रहा है वो उस तरह का. एवरीथिंग हैज चेंज. सब कुछ बदल चुका है बिकॉज ऑफ पार्टीशन. एंड these are the words of Nehru, which he wrote he wrote letter to Chief Ministers of India on 15th October 1947. In this, he had written, we have a Muslim minority who are so large in numbers that they cannot, even if they want, go anywhere else. This is a basic fact about which there can be no argument. So, because all it is not possible, though the partition of the country was happened on the basis of religion, that people of two religion cannot live together. It was the argument of the Muhammad Ali Jinnah, and this was the two nation theory, which was produced by Jinnah. And in spite of this partition, which was totally based on the religion, what we find that there cannot be such a situation that all the Muslims will go to Pakistan from India, and all the Hindus will come to India from Pakistan. That is practically not possible. And the Muslim who are in India, they are so large in number that it is not possible that all the Muslims will go away from India. They will go to Pakistan. It is not possible. Okay, though they are minorities, still they are very large in number. Whatever the provocation from Pakistan and whatever the indignities and horror inflicted on non-Muslims there, we have got to deal with this minority in a civilized manner. This is opinion of Nehru, and that is really very high idealistic opinion. And he is saying that the Pakistan may provoke us. Uh, जैसे पाकिस्तान में जो हिंदूज हैं, देयर इज सो मेनी indignities and horrors are doing against them, those non-Muslims. The Hindus जो पाकिस्तान में, उनके साथ बहुत काफी कुछ हो रहा है जो कि नहीं होना चाहिए था, और these things will provocate, हमें प्रोवोक करेगा कि हम भी अपने कंट्री के मुसलमानों के साथ उसी तरह का करें जैसा कि पाकिस्तान में नॉन मुस्लिम्स के साथ हो रहा है. बट हमें अपने माइनॉरिटीज के साथ इन अ सिविलाइज्ड मैनर वी हैव टू डील विद. We can't be uncivilized with this minority. We must give them security and the rights of citizen in a democratic state. Okay, it is our duty to give them security. It is our duty to give them all the rights which other people are having. If we fail to do so, we shall have a festering sore which will eventually poison the whole body politic and probably destroy it. If we are not able to give equal rights and equal status to our minority, then what will happen? It will just like a sore, but this sore will not remain at one place. It will eventually uh, poison all the whole body. It means the whole country will become victim of this problem, and there will be no peace in the country, and the unity of the country will also be obstructed. So this is the opinion of Nehru.